Okay, here are the notes for lesson 2-3, deductive reasoning. And what you're going to be doing today is just basically reading a lot of sentences and then basically coming up with a conclusion. All right. Deductive reasoning, there's some book definition, but basically this is thinking. You're going to be, again, just given some sentences, and all you got to do is think and then come up with a conclusion. They have two types of laws here, law of detachment, law of syllogism. I wouldn't even sweat the wording here. Just think. Read the sentences and think. All right? They actually put a term to your thinking process, but I'm not concerned about this at all. So, for example, we'll go with this example here. If a person is 18 years old, then they can drive. That's the first bullet point. Next one, Marie is 18 years old. What's the conclusion that you can make? Well, since she's 18, she can drive. So you can just go, Marie can drive. Now that process of just coming up with this conclusion technically is called the law of detachment, but who cares? So what you're going to see today is just a couple sentences and come up with a logical conclusion. Here's an example, again, of law of syllogism, but again, we're not concerned with what it's called. Just read the examples, come up with a conclusion. All right, if a circus is in town, then there are tents at the playground. If there are tents at the playground, then Paul is working as a watchman. What conclusion can be made? And the conclusion is basically this. If the circus is in town, not only will there be tents, but Paul will be working. If the circus is in town, then Paul is working as a watchman. And again, this is the type of work you will see today. You'll just see some sentences, not a watchman here. And coming up with a logical conclusion based on the sentence. That's a watchman. This law of syllogism is basically said, if A, then B, if B, then C, if A is equal to B and B is equal to C, then you can say A will also equal C. If the circus is in town, that's part A, then this happens. Then there are tents. If there are tents, which again is part B, then Paul is a watchman. Then C will occur. So basically, if A occurs, the circus is in town, Paul is a watchman. All right. Again, this is all logical stuff, but just read the sentences and come up with a conclusion. Here we go. A couple more examples. Number one, if a baseball player is a pitcher, then that player should not pitch a complete game 2 days in a row. Vladimir Nunez is a pitcher. On Monday, he pitches a complete game. What can you conclude? We've got a pitcher. He pitched on Monday. They don't pitch 2 days in a row, so we'll say Vladimir will not pitch on Tuesday. And again, you're just going to have to read all of the sentences and come up with a logical conclusion. Don't say Vladimir went to the movies or something dumb like that. That has nothing to do with these sentences here. Here we go with number two. It says law of detachment, use law of detachment and law of syllogism to draw up conclusions. Again, they're going to throw out these words to you in the directions. All I want you to do is think, read, and think. Here we go, 3 bullet points. The Volga River is in Europe. If a river is less than 2,300 miles long, it is not one of the world's 10 longest rivers. If a river is in Europe, then it is less than 2,300 miles long. What conclusions can be made? Well, there's a couple of conclusions. Since Volga is in Europe, then it is less than 2,300 miles. So you can say Volga River is less than 2,300 miles long. Also notice any river that's less than 2,300 miles long, which we know Volga is, then it is not in the top 10. So that's another conclusion. Volga River is not in the top 10 rivers. There's a lot of other little conclusions, but basically any river in Europe is not going to be in the top 10. Volga River is not in the top 10. But just read these sentences, think about it, and come up with logical conclusions.